Dr. Carolyn Meister.
And I'm Ashley Roboto.
We are from Expansion Therapy, and our understanding of the body is around fascia and fascial restrictions as well as releases. And so, we are going to talk to you today about the theory of fascial release and what's actually going on in the body when this is happening. So, the fascia is a connective tissue all over your body, and it is like spider webs all over your body. When you get tight and scared and nervous, that nervous system, that fascia, that intertwining just kind of tightens up. But when you feel relaxed, and just open, it loosens. And so there's this interplay as you move. We're humans, we move so much. There's an interplay of that fascia with the function of your body as well as the emotions in your body as well. So, Ashley and I are going to talk to you today about where we typically find fascial restrictions and where we really help women specifically release a bunch of limited beliefs as well as that physical restriction in their body.
Yeah, so because the fascia is so intertwined with the nervous system, we really see these emotions playing out in our body, and what we're holding on to can really show up in the body. And one of the places that we'll see, I'll just kind of start at the base, is in our root or our foundation. And a lot of times we'll see this interplaying with this like tightening and shortening of the glutes and almost this like clinching that happens in our butts. It's almost like what happens when you get afraid. Like you'll clench up your butt muscles, you'll tighten up, and that whole back line will get really locked up. And that's one pattern that we see that's kind of subconsciously showing up in the body when people are holding on to fear or kind of scarcity in their lives or just not feeling safe and secure.
Yeah, and that the it's always a great root is always a great way to start, right? When people squeeze their glutes primarily, because that's what really is that base of the root chakra, that turns into external rotation. So those toes are going outward, and you're kind of getting that back line, which the back line is like stars, excited. The
From
back line, everyone. Yeah. The back line is the bottom of the feet. It's the calves, it's the hamstrings, it's the glutes, and some would say all the way up to the back of the neck. Specifically for the root chakra, we kind of stop it at the glutes itself. But that line, when it's tight, there is a lot of fear and there is this lack of trust in the body and trust from, do I trust myself? Because everything is a reflection of how you feel towards yourself. And so the root chakra is a really great place to start because they're typically, if someone has tight calves, plantar fasciitis, we see hamstring tightness, tendonitis of the hamstrings, glute issues, or low back pain, because all of that tightness pulls right on that lumbar spine. That is somebody that we're constantly talking about foundation and security and safety, and asking them questions about where that is in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. From there, I think we can move up to the sacral chakra. And I feel like a lot of what we'll see in this area almost is like a spilling of energy or like a giving of too much and not nurturing ourselves enough, especially with women. I think there's been a lot of just societal and just conditioned pressures to, and just natural, like caretaking and always looking to take care of others and not always like reflecting that back to ourselves. And we see this a lot of times, like with the breathing patterns that people show up with too, and this kind of belly breathing. And what that's doing is kind of overstretching that front abdomen. And there's not really anything that there's an inability to kind of like pull it back in and keep some of that energy for ourselves and nurture for ourselves. And then this can kind of manifest as well as, you know, lack of core control, lower back pain. We see a lot of SI joint pain related to this as well. It can throw off your whole breathing pattern and that connection to the diaphragm. There's so much related there that it kind of plays in with.
I get so excited when we talk about these things because though like they're things that we've struggled with in our life, and we like it's so fun to be able to help women in the ways that we see those things also happening in their body, like you're saying, spilling energy. And it's very typical of moms after giving birth to have to care for children. Like I'm a mom, like you have to nurture, you have something you have to take care of now. And in a way they do get our energy from us. We have to nurture them, we have to give them our time and energy and love. And we want to, of course, but like it is also it is also needed for them to survive. And so that is where, when we're kind of figuring out that boundary of how much do we have for ourselves, how much are we able to give to others, and what others are we giving to? These are all super important questions of the sacral chakra. And when women struggle with their core specifically, because I just think that is something that has become unconscious to so many people. The core is something that they look at, or they feel, or they look at in the mirror, and they either have a dysregulated relationship with, or they're like, I don't even know what's in there. Like, what is in my body? There's guts, right? But I don't know what it is. I don't know where the large intestine is. I don't know where my hip flexors and my pelvic floor are. I don't know what it feels like when I move those things. And so bringing education to these places, specifically around root chakra and sacral chakra, which are shame and guilt in our body, lack of trust. And with lack of trust, there's so much there in anger and shame. And then with the sacral chakra, which is around nurturing, sexuality, pleasure, self-gratification. Like if we don't feel like we are safe in a room, how are we expected to play in that same room and in that same environment? And so we get to excitingly like show women that they can do both of those things. And it's based on not only mental and emotional help, but it is physically rooted in our bodies.
Absolutely. Yeah. Should we keep moving up the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do solar plexus because that's where we're at, and then I think we can go to our
Yeah.
movement moments. So we're going to do a fascia release for everyone. So take us away.
Yeah. So then just above that, we have the solar plexus. And so that kind of sits under the base of the ribs. And here we definitely start thinking about our breathing patterns and our breath. And are we actually utilizing our diaphragm to breathe? And are we able to take that 360 breath and expand our breath into the sides of our rib cage, into our back body? I think a lot of women too get stuck in this, like, and myself included, like learning to breathe into my side body and my back body was really challenging at first. And I wanted to send all my breath like into the front of my rib cage, and I wasn't accessing that back part of my body. And learning to breathe into those spaces not only opened up like physically, the space between like each of my ribs, and but it also like opens you up to like your own like confidence and your self-worth and your worthiness in the world, and like being able to like step into your power, if you will. So like breath is really like it's where we get our life force and our power from.
So well said. I swear, like power, that's a strong, like, that is such a strong word when we're talking about the solar plexus, as well as confidence in itself. And it's so funny that the breath has such a beautiful interplay with these things. And you said it perfectly. Most people, because of fear, really are locked down in the back of the rib cage and the lower back, because those quadratus and the erector spinae and many and your hip flexors kind of clench in the back of your body because of fear, and fear of self, fear of worthiness, fear of deserving, like all of those things. And so we're teaching people that you can open up, you can breathe through your spinal column actually. And in the center of the back, under the rib cage is really where the solar plexus is. It's where your power center and kind of the connection, truthfully, between your hip flexors and your diaphragm. So this is like a huge confidence builder. This is a huge I deserve to be here. I am worthy center in your body. And really playing with the breath has been a cornerstone of our business and our understanding of the body because the fascia can be ripped and pulled on and opened from some stretching, some mobility. But if you're malaligned, if you're, cranking on a joint that's pretty tight on one side and loose on the other, there's some malalignment. And so I get so excited about this. So, using the breath to open and take those cobwebs and actually start pulling them apart and separating them, and using rotation as well as part of that as well. These are such big things in our current practice with our patients, and we are just seeing so many wonderful things come out of using fascial restrictions, but then also following with the breath and showing people how to really utilize that opening expansion.
I love what you said there. Should we move into our movement moment? And I think you're gonna lead us in that.
I get to do this one this week.
Yeah.
Ashley gets to do next week, or next time. So I am gonna do actually the suboccipital. And I know we talked about the root chakra, the solar sacral and the solar plexus, but the thing that happens with the root chakra is it'll come up all the way to the suboccipitals. What those are is when you lean your head forward, this really tightens back here. And so to make it challenging, we all try to do those chin tucks, but that just can send a tightness right down your low back. So I'm going to show you an exercise where we can really target just the suboccipitals and see how tight yours are. So I want everybody to tuck their chin, thinking about really just shoving that chin into the throat. And then you're going to start to roll segment by segment your head down. While this is happening, I want you to shrug downward with your shoulders, thinking about not shrugging your shoulders up, but an anti-shrug, pushing those shoulders down towards the floor. And then with the chin tucked, I want you to think about if somebody had a string and was pulling your neck up by kind of the base of your neck with the chin still tucked. Good. Just hold that, trying to, you're really thinking about those shoulders shrugging down because that's going to be the difference of the separation here between the chin, the suboccipitals, and those upper traps. So now to add a little bit of a challenge, you're going to rotate to the right. So ear is going up towards the ceiling. You're going to want to untuck the chin. Do not keep that chin nice and activated towards the throat. Your ear is going to kind of, and the biggest thing you want to really think of is that right shoulder is drawing downward. You're really thinking about elongating those upper trap and levator on that side. Now let's take it to the left. You're going to go through by tucking the chin, and then again, bring that chin upwards towards the ceiling, ear towards the ceiling, and you're getting a big, big stretch, trying to keep both shoulders low and down as you're doing this. You will feel a lot of opening in the middle parts of your neck and in the back. When you want, you can just come back up, and just feel what the neck feels like. Feel if it's like a little bit more restricted, kind of side to side. You're just noticing what your neck feels like and where some of the restriction has been or is no longer. Yeah. So we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today for our expansion therapy journey.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys next time.